What does it mean to truly know oneself or connect with another person? In the surrealist landscapes of Twin Peaks and Neon Genesis Evangelion, this question becomes both a mystery and a thesis. Both series use their strange, dreamlike filmmaking approaches to explore universal human struggles, delving into the fractured nature of identity, the cyclical impact of trauma, and the often painful but largely fulfilling pursuit of connection. Their surrealism isn't merely aesthetic, but a lens through which the most intimate aspects of the human condition are examined. For some reason, I've always felt as though these two series felt like they went hand in hand with one another, even if their subject matter is seemingly so different and their fan bases perhaps don't have the most overlap. But in revisiting them both at the same time, I found that they spoke to me with similar yet super unique rhythms. Amidst the cosmic horror and existential despair, there is a profound sensitivity at the core of these sprawling multimedia narratives. Through breaking traditional narrative conventions, both works force their audiences to confront the unresolved mysteries of existence, revealing that even in the most surreal and horrific contexts, deeply human truths remain at the center. Let's start with how both series handle fractured identities. From the very first moments, we're presented with characters who are deeply fragmented, their lives full of contradictions. Take Laura Palmer in Twin Peaks. To the town, she's their golden girl, a beacon of virtue. But beneath that facade lies a life of addiction, exploitation, and despair. This tension between her public image and private suffering transforms her murder into something bigger, a symbol of the town's collective hypocrisy and hidden darkness. Even our white-hatted hero, Special Agent Dale Cooper, outwardly composed and confident, has his own vulnerabilities and obsessions that gradually unravel as he becomes entangled in the town's supernatural soap opera. Evangelion takes this theme of fractured identity and runs with it, particularly through Shinji Ikari. Here's a kid reluctantly piloting a giant robot to save humanity. Yet, he's completely paralyzed by self-doubt and a desperate need for validation. This internal conflict, his deep loneliness and self-esteem struggles, drives the series forward. Look at characters like Asuka, with her aggressive tsundere facade, masking deep insecurities. Or Rei Ayanami, the ghost-like Freudian nightmare. They're all wrestling with their fractured selves. The genius of creators Hideaki Anno and David Lynch lies in how they use surrealism to amplify these fractures. In Twin Peaks, Bob becomes this physical manifestation of
the evil that men do,
corrupting the town and exploiting the darkness in people's subconscious. Evangelion takes it even further with its instrumentality project, literally merging all human consciousness into one being. We watch the animation itself break down, a physical manifestation of Jungian psychology's multiple selves. Both works use surrealism as a mirror, reflecting the complexities of human nature. But these series aren't just about broken identities. They're deeply concerned with trauma and how it echoes through generations. Twin Peaks uses Laura Palmer's abuse as both a personal horror and a catalyst for exposing the town's moral decay. Her death focuses the community to face its own role in perpetuating cycles of violence and denial. The overwhelming presence of grief becomes this controlling force, showing how trauma consumes us in different ways. Evangelion approaches trauma through a more explicitly generational lens. Shinji's psychological scars come from his father Gendo's abandonment. Asuka's tough exterior masks the impact of her mother's mental illness and suicide. Misato carries her survivor's guilt like a cross, literally. These aren't static traumas, they ripple outward, influencing relationships and decisions in ways that keep the cycle of pain going. As they say, hurt people hurt people. What makes these portrayals so powerful is how both series give shape to the intangible. The Black Lodge in Twin Peaks, with its zigzagging floors and bizarre characters, captures these cosmic forces battling for order and chaos. Evangelion uses abstract montages and symbolic imagery to visualize psychological wounds. Trauma isn't just a plot point. It's a living, breathing force that shapes reality itself. Yet, even as they depict trauma's horrors, these series find moments of tenderness. Shinji's fleeting connections with those around him, Laura's longing for love and eventual release, Cooper's unyielding hope, and the relationships that blossom and evolve around him. For all their surreal elements, both series are deeply human and empathetic in their depictions of loneliness and the yearning for human connection. In Evangelion, Shinji's desire to be loved constantly clashes with his fear of vulnerability, creating this cycle of withdrawal and self-sabotage. The series explicitly discusses this conflict, citing the hedgehog's dilemma, an idea that is so central to the show that it's become inseparable from its identity. Seriously, Wikipedia even tries to redirect you when you look it up. Instrumentality takes this dilemma to its extreme, offering the ultimate form of connection, only to reveal the value of self-realization. Connection, while central to the human experience, is fraught with difficulty. Extraordinary circumstances and cosmic conflicts heighten this tension, yet amidst the alienation and horror, moments of humanity shine through. These glimmers of connection anchor the surreal narratives in something achingly real. These works refuse to give us easy answers, and that's part of their enduring appeal. Their famously enigmatic endings invite us to bring our own interpretations to the table. This openness mirrors the characters' own journeys, where self-discovery and connection aren't destinations, but an ongoing process. The way these series embrace ambiguity has cultivated incredibly devoted cult followings, with fans keeping these works alive through decades of discussions and interpretations. Something these series share is that both creators returned to their works after years of dormancy, and in doing so did something fresh and challenging. They both also concluded their original runs with powerful and polarizing feature films that have since become embraced as the harsh masterpieces that they are. With Twin Peaks: The Return, Lynch embraced an even more abstract and surreal tone, challenging longtime fans by reframing Twin Peaks through the lens of our darker, uglier television landscape and his own evolution as a filmmaker post-Inland Empire. Similarly, Anno's Evangelion rebuild films weren't simple remakes, but reinterpretations that reflected his personal growth while maintaining a dialogue with the original themes. Both the Return and Rebuild films revisit their narrative with wisdom of creators who have lived and evolved alongside their audiences. They show us how identity and trauma aren't static. They're continually reshaped by time, reflection, and experience. Conclusions needn't be about closure, because closure is rarely a fact of life. Anno and Lynch are also very in touch with the imagery that was a crucial aspect in their development as an artist. Lynchian Americana and 50s sensibilities are so disarming and set a baseline that audiences can find comfort and unease in. His continued revisiting of imagery from The Wizard of Oz also gives frameworks that we can identify in his stories and bring the surreal into the tangible. Anno does the same for his generation of Japanese artists, weaving together elements from 70s television, tokusatsu, and his beloved films to create something both familiar and revolutionary. In this context, surrealism becomes more than just style, it's a tool for engagement. By breaking the rules of traditional storytelling, both series demand active participation from their audiences. They force us to question our assumptions and relationships to their themes and imagery. These works stay alive, not just through rewatches, but through the conversations they inspire and the way they make us active participants in creating meaning. Their influence reverberates through modern media. You can see it in everything, from The Sopranos to Serial Experiments Lain, from Alan Wake to Regular Show. Half of all prestige television and modern anime owes something to these works. They endure because they speak to universal questions about identity, trauma, and connection. By embracing ambiguity and surrealism, they create spaces for viewers to confront the messiness of their own lives. They don't offer neat solutions because life rarely does. Instead, they leave us with questions, urging us to reflect on what it means to be human in a world that's as beautiful as it is confounding. Originally, This was not the essay or video I planned to make this week, but recently the news has come out that legendary filmmaker David Lynch has passed away, and I was inspired to put it together. I, like many others, have engaged with his work for some years now, and have been touched deeply by them in so many different ways that continue to evolve. Leading up to the news of his passing, I was rewatching Twin Peaks: The Return and Evangelion, coinciding with the podcast I had discovered covering those artworks in their own way. Even though he is no longer with us, he still lives on so boldly through his art. He is dead, yet he lives. My heart goes out to his family, friends, and those whose lives he was a part of. I never knew the man personally, but he touched the hearts of myself and millions of film lovers around the world for generations. And for that, we thank you, David Lynch. Thank you for reminding us to keep our eyes on the donut, not the hole, and to catch the big fish, we have to look deeper.